February the 10th, 2014. This is SETI H2, guys. This is going to be one of the first satellites that we see sighting spring come up. And it's going to come in an arc from the bottom up into Mars. Now, they're saying that the outer comma will completely envelop Mars and its two moons. And I'll show you that. Let's take a look at the JPL. Now, this is October 20th. They actually are showing that 19th, and it will be right in that time depending on where you're at in universal time. I'll back it down, will come up. Now, this is the arc again. The SETI blue camera I was showing you will be one of the first ones that we see as it arcs up in that direction. Remember, from out from under the sun and out. Remember that as we look at some of these other images. Now, another thing is they're saying that this the size of the sighting spring could be from 3 miles to 30 miles, actually up to 31 miles. I don't know if they're doing that now because they kind of got their hand called on ISON being 3.1 miles. Remember that, guys? Those pieces were hundreds of miles wide. But they up to 31 miles would be 10 times bigger than ISON. Now, this is taken back on January 28th, if you notice, just a few weeks ago. And from the NEOWise satellite. But I'm going to take these images. Let's look at this closer. It's already starting to show it pretty good. It has not developed a tail yet. It's just starting to develop the outer comma. You see this? Now, it's about 3.6 AU below the sun now. Now, they're saying it will pass extremely close to Mars on October 19th this year. So close the comma may envelop Mars. It will if you do the math. Initial observations by Leonard Ellenin, that's the same guy that discovered Ellenin that was shot down, suggested that it might pass as close as 25,700 miles. Now, they've gotten newer information on it, say probably will be about 86,000 miles. That's the center of the nucleus, the rock, from the center of the planet. Now, it has two moons. Right here, Deimos, the smaller one, and it's an outside orbit. So it will be closer to sighting spring than Phobos. Now, Phobos is much larger. Phobos is actually rotates Mars in 30.30. I mean, Deimos rotates Mars in 30.3 hours. Phobos does it much quicker than that. Now, Phobos and Deimos were Greek brothers. They met Terra, remember that, and Hera. Now, Phobos is larger, but it has the inside orbit of the two moons, and it's extremely fast. It orbits 37,000 miles from the Martian surface. It's closer to its primary than any other satellite in our solar system. It's one of the most heavily studied. But the grooves in it and that impact crater are very big. Some of the grooves are up to 12 miles in length from other impacts. So this is not the first time this has happened to Mars. And if you look at some of the old Sumerian texts, they talk about that when the Great Flood came, that Mars was affected also by the same incident. And actually strip the Martian atmosphere away from this. But they have determined that there's been about, from what they can tell, 12 Martian impact events. That's looking at the moons and Mars itself with the rovers and things. But guys, remember, ISON's comma before it was stripped back from the X-flare was 250,000 kilometers wide. Now, this is the larger moon that orbits close. They say that they can't really do the math. They can't figure it out because with the size, it would have to be extremely light, almost hollow, if you see in this diagram, to rotate that fast. Guys, they're talking about in 4 hours, it can cross all the way across the sky. So that's extremely fast. It's an unusual thing. We've heard a lot about it. But the main thing you're looking at is when you see Mars there on the left, Deimos and Phobos, the outer comma of Comet's sighting spring is going to completely envelop all of that. Now, Phobos also rises and sets twice in a Martian day, every 11 hours and 6 minutes. But guys, all of this is going to be affected. Now, if you remember, we talked about in a video a few days ago the balance between the sun, the moon, and the earth. Now, all the planets have a balancing mechanism. They're all set there in a balance. Now, this is from real time as Phobos passes Deimos. This is from a satellite. Check this out. Real time. Phobos is the large one that's closer to Mars. And then you see Deimos in the back. Now let's look at this. This is from the rover on the ground. This is Phobos, the large one that orbits twice a day. That's the sun in the background. This is real-time speed. Check that out, guys. So imagine that. You're sitting on Mars. You're seeing this. It wasn't a full eclipse because it's not large enough. But it's further from the sun than the Earth also. But all of this coming up at the beginning of the Feast of Trumpets is going to be enveloped by a comet that's at least minimally, they're estimating the size of Ison, could be up to 10 times that size. Now they're saying there's going to be incredible meteor storms. You see the dents that's there. This is a current impact within the last year or so that one of the satellites have picked up on Mars. Now, I think this was before the passing of Ison, but here's what they're saying. They're going to set up a page, and I'll link to it. It says the information will be updated as the comet nears Mars. Sighting spring will become more active once it reaches the waterline, an area about 2 to 3 times further away from the sun than the Earth. At this point, you'll start to see what they're saying, the outer comet develop. Closest approach, 19th. It's got the times there, 11:28 Pacific, so forth. Estimated distance at nucleus, 85,600 miles. That's point to point, center of nucleus to the surface of Mars. Now, they're saying here unknown nucleus diameter. They know, guys. Like I said, the other people are saying 3 to 31 miles. Likely to engulf Mars, time to pass several hours, velocity of dust 250,000 miles per hour, 220 pounds of dust or 800,000 pounds per hour, they estimate. This dust, again, not multiple nuclei, not big meteor showers, but again, a 250,000 kilometer outer comma minimum, and it's 86,000 miles away, so you can see, fully enveloped. Now, this is Mars, one of the last times this happened. Guys, look at the size of this. It makes the Grand Canyon look unnoticeable. Now, let's go back to H2A, right, just for a second here. Now, there's 7 actual objects moving here, and I'm not going to point them all out. They're not that easy. The one in the left is an asteroid that's moving along the ecliptic. I'll point it out. You can look closer. It's right in the center of that. You see that moving? That's the easiest one to spot of the 7. The other 5 are moving in the ecliptic in a triangle around this area. But there's one that's moving from the bottom that I want to point out. It's one of the harder ones to see, but it's here. It's right there, guys. I'm not sure how clear it will be on this video. I'll link to SETI. It's also on my website. All the links are. Now, this is coming at a little different angle than what sighting spring is coming at. It's a little close to, if you ask me. But if you remember, Michael said there was going to be debris storms coming from below the sun up into our inner solar system. Is that one of the lead objects? If so, it's extremely large. And you can back this up and play it. I know it's not real clear, guys, but we're talking about the beginning of the Feast of Trumpets. Heads up.